It's taking your phone calls now. What question would you ask Governor J.B. Pritzker if you were at a news conference and he asks if there's any questions from members of the media? Something he did yesterday, but this is how that turned out in Joliet when he was talking about increased funding for the state's public schools, community colleges. Here's Governor J.B. Pritzker sounding off, taking questions or not taking questions. I guess that is the answer. Here he is. Oh, wait a second. It's got to get this queued up. Where did it go? It disappeared on me. Fantastic. Here we go. All right.
Happy to take any questions from members of the media. And they're all sleeping at home. Thank you all very much for coming today. Thank you.
So no questions asked by members of the media yesterday. I don't know if there were any members of the media yesterday there, but if you were a member of the media in attendance at a governor news conference, what question would you ask? 217-629-7970. That's the phone number here on WMAY. Again, 217-629-7970. You can also email bishoponair@gmail.com, or you can find me on Twitter, Bishop on Air, where some people have said a variety of things, and I'm not going to read all of them because some of them are choice language, but what's so hard about what to do with the excess federal COVID funds? Can't you just pay down the pension deficit or put it into the rainy day fund? Well, there's some problems with that. In particular, you can't necessarily go against the guidance that the federal government's given about those pension or about the way COVID dollars could be used. But just one of the questions that were posed. Let's get to your questions. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Morning, Greg. The question would be, how strong would a teeter-totter have to be with Jim and Pritzker?
All right. It's Friday. Everybody's got jokes. Serious questions, though. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Okay, so the biggest question I would love to ask J.B. Pritzker is about his early education program, like pre-K program, early childhood education. And the biggest part of it is what is he going to do with teachers' wages? Because as somebody who's worked in early childhood education, if you don't work for a school district, you're making about half what 10 through 12 teachers are making.
So you would ask him essentially about increased funding for early childhood educators that aren't necessarily part of schools?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, there's all this great talk about, we need to expand early childhood education, we need to do all this, but if you're not working for a school district, if you're working for like a local daycare, and you're teaching 4- and 5-year-olds in pre-K,
yeah,
you're only making maybe $18,000-$20,000 a year.
Yeah, and I know that there is an effort to increase state funding for those types of programs, and to even increase the funding for facilities of early childhood education. So we'll see what happens there. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Yourself?
My question would be the real purpose of the gun registration. And then I will follow it up with me being a black man in Illinois, having to register a firearm. How much more would that put my life in danger if the police has to come to my door?
That's a strong question. One that I'll probably have to pose to him on your behalf. So I appreciate you bringing that up. We got to get more of your questions. Okay, so we're going to take a break. Come back after 8:10. Get calls in, and we'll take more of your questions. Appreciate you guys calling in. But we'll have to pick this up on the other side. No questions asked of Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday. Again, here he is, essentially indicating that there's no questions from the media.
Happy to take any questions from members of the media. And they're all sleeping at home.
Rats.
Thank you all very much.
On the Fly SPI Studios, take the
And they're all sleeping at home. Thank you all very much for coming today. Thank you.
No questions from members of the media.
Happy to take any questions from members of the media.
No?
And they're all sleeping at home. Thank you all very much for coming today. Thank you.
So, apparently nobody in Joliet wanted to ask the governor any questions yesterday after he was in Springfield the day before, where I was able to ask a question. Another reporter was able to ask questions. Reporters ask questions of the governor when he's making public statements and in public places, but apparently in Joliet, which is a sizable area, right? I mean, they've got to have some media. I know the media landscape is changing drastically, and there's not a whole bunch of people following certain things, and it's a real huge disservice to you, the public out there, because the media is supposed to be that fourth estate, right? You got the three branches of government: the executive, the judicial, the legislative. But when it comes to who keeps tabs on all of that, it's supposed to be the fourth estate, the media. But the fact that nobody from the media was in Joliet to ask the governor questions is rather fascinating. So I'm asking you now, if you were a member of the media, which, you got a First Amendment right to a free press, what questions would you ask? 217-629-7970 is the phone number. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Hey, good morning, Greg.
Hey.
My advice to you, dig into the legal papers after you drink the green beer on St. Patrick's Day for the gun ban.
Yeah, so
Hey,
if people missed that earlier this morning, there are like 6 or 7 different filings the state made in response to the allegations of Second Amendment violations for the gun ban. It's dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of very dense legal reading. I just gave a very, very small blush of what there is, and I did a poor job of it. So I got to take the weekend to really delve into all of that. Maybe I will sip on some green beer while I do that.
It was all I could handle while riding my exercise bike earlier. Hey, I would ask the governor this. Governor, I know that you believe in a quality education for every Illinois child, so why are you not working to make the Invest in Kids Act permanent?
The Invest in Kids Act is a scholarship program that is entirely funded by donations, not by tax dollars, but it's limited in scope. It's helped dozens and dozens of parents get their kids into quality schools. It's helped lift lower income families' children up to go to private schools. There's an effort to try to quash it. There's an effort to try to let it sunset at the end of this year, but there's also an effort from a very diverse group of families across the state that are saying this thing needs to be permanent and expanded even. So that's a great question. And trust me, I've had that one in my mind for quite some time as well. And we'll see if we can get that into the governor. I appreciate the call.
All right, well, enjoy your green beer.
I appreciate it. It's happy St. Patrick's Day. Springfield's Morning News. Good morning. You're on WMAY. What question would you ask the governor?
Well, first of all, once he gets to I-80, do you think he just gives a big exhale? Back home. No tough questions. Back where his bread's buttered, man.
Well, I mean, listen, the Chicago media does turn out. He was in Joliet yesterday where, again, he highlighted how apparently members of the media are back home sleeping. So he does get good questions when he's in Springfield or when he's in Chicago, but I don't know what happened in Joliet yesterday.
I don't really have a question for him. I just know that the guy loves to be up there because he rarely gets questions when he's in that little pocket where his bread's buttered.
There you go. I appreciate the call. 217-629-7970. A few people on YouTube. I'm just going to kind of go through some of this a little bit. One guy says that he's nervous, can't call in, and I said I'm gentle, and somebody else said that that's typically what people with the rubber gloves always say, that they're gentle as well. My question for the governor, somebody on YouTube says, is if he isn't a constitutionalist, how can he say that the gun law isn't unconstitutional? So, this goes back to, the question I asked the governor the day before yesterday when he was in Springfield about, you're confident in the state courts, but what about the federal courts following the Bruin decision? And he said, listen, I'm not a constitutional expert. I went to law school, but, I can't give you any further opinion. However, I believe that it's constitutional, he says. So it's an interesting question. If he's not a constitutionalist, how can he say that the gun law is not unconstitutional? I've got another question here from a listener on text. Says, Dear Gov, considering the Safety Act and the gun ban, how does releasing criminals back into society while punishing law-abiding citizens make Illinois a safe place to live? when we have seen cities around who have done the exact same thing collapse into chaos from crime? It's an interesting question. And as far as, the governor has been asked before about the Safety Act, the no cash bail provision that's currently suspended by the Illinois Supreme Court. And he says that it will keep violent people behind bars. So while that's still pending, we'll see what the ultimate outcome is going to be. But that's a sentiment a lot of people have, is why punish gun owners, legal gun owners, by making them have to register guns. I think we had a really salient question just before the top of the hour. If you missed that, you can rewind this video a little bit. But an individual called asking, as a black man, why he has to register his firearms, and will that make him less safe in having to register his firearms? Because that registry opens October 1st, and you have to register by January 1st, 2024. If the gun ban and registry is not blocked, that's an interesting question. So maybe I could try to pose that to the governor sometime too. 217-629-7970. That's the phone number here on WMAY. All right, let's see what else we got. Questions about how many people are going to iGold. That's going to be March 29th in Springfield. Some other questions. Let's see here. Totally screen recorded that for my ringtone. All right, Save the Humans on YouTube apparently likes my laugh, so appreciate that. Ask him. Okay, I can't ask him how many cheeseburger he eats. Guys, come on. Listen, I email the governor's office asking for comments, and I don't really get emails back, so I have to really save my questions when I get any limited time in front of him, when he's in Springfield or in Decatur or in Jacksonville or wherever he may be in the area. I have to make sure I get questions in that are addressing some substantive issues that we're dealing with day to day. I can't ask him about cheeseburgers or seesaws or anything like that, guys. Come on, I mean that's a bit much. All right, 217-629-7970 is the phone number. Of course, I want to hear from you. What kind of question you would ask Governor J.B. Pritzker? We've had some good suggestions thus far. Some not so much. People trying out Comedy Hour. I get it. It's Friday. We all want to let our hair down a little bit. But again, here's the governor yesterday in Joliet.
Happy to take any questions from members of the media. And they're all sleeping at home.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much for coming today. Thank you.
So what questions would you ask the governor? 217-629-7970. That's the phone number. Greatly appreciate everybody chiming in. It is Friday. We're having just a little bit of fun. All right. Just a smidgen of some fun. So if you have any other thoughts you want to share, you can email me, bishoponair@gmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and you can follow along there as well. And be sure to sound off. Whenever we're live, you can call in at 217-629-7970.